It's the early part of the 20th century, and it's well known every country has their national sport. The United States has baseball, England has soccer, football, Canada, they play hockey. In Russia, the national sport seems to be revolutions. There's always a revolution or some revolution or other going on in Russia. There was a 15-year-old boy was walking the street sometime in the early 1900s, and 15-year-old Meir Chodosh. A platoon of soldiers stopped him, and they asked to see his identification papers, and he did not have any, which in Russia at that time, if you did not have papers, you were in big trouble. So they took him into a courtyard, they put him up against the wall, and they were going to execute him with the firing squad. And the commandant started yelling at him to stand up and take it like a man. The 15-year-old Meir Chodosh, who was terrified out of his wits, was about to die, and he couldn't stand up, probably didn't want to stand up, and the sergeant started hollering at him, stand up and take it like a man. And the soldiers had the rifles perched on their shoulders, cocked, ready to shoot. And just then a window opened up in the courtyard. A Russian general stuck his head out the window. He said, "You're making a ruckus. I'm trying to take a nap. I'm going to have the whole bunch of you court-martialed." So the sergeant and the soldiers immediately turned around and ran off, leaving Rabbi Meir Chodosh standing there against the wall, helplessly. Couldn't believe he's still alive. Rabbi Meir Chodosh said he realized at that moment that his life is fully in God's hands. If God wants him to live, he'll live. If he wants him to die, he'll die. And Rabbi Meir Chodosh was convinced he would never lose that sense and that feeling and that connection. He himself said that it lasted for about 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, he was back to his regular state, and that connection was somehow weakened. About 14 years later, in 1929, Meir Chodosh was a student in the Chevron yeshiva, and the Arab riots took place. Over 50 Jews were slaughtered. Jewish students, boys studying in the yeshiva in Chevron. And Meir Chodosh was lying under a pile of bodies during that massacre. And he said the Arab marauders kept coming in and out looking for more victims. And he said to himself, I know with clarity that my life is in God's hands. If he wants me to live, I will live. If he wants me to die, I will die. Rabbi Meir Chodosh survived the Chevron massacre to tell about it. He eventually became the spiritual guide of the famed Chevron yeshiva, and he died at the age of 91. But he left us with a lasting message that our lives are always in Hashem's hands, regardless of circumstances. The Talmud says that even with a sharp sword perched on a person's neck, he should not refrain from praying for mercy. Our lives are in God's hands. It's always been like that, and it always will be like that.